So stress fractures in the foot can be certainly a very debilitating and long-lasting injury that can really knock you out with your training program for a period of time. So definitely worthwhile understanding the mechanics of what's going on there and seeing the early signs and symptoms so that we can avoid needing to rest from that activity that we enjoy most. So there's a couple of areas in the foot that are more prone to getting fractures. And when we're talking about a stress fracture, what we're talking about is usually overloading of the bones for what they can actually be handling at that particular point in time. So it's around understanding the types of loads that are going through the bones, and in this case we're talking about the bones of the feet. There's a couple of sites that commonly are impacted by stress fractures, and that's because of what their job is. So one of the common sites that can be impacted by a stress fracture, and we'll just sort of look at the foot this way, turn it around this way like that, so we're on the inside of the foot like so. So this bone here that sort of sits very close to the top of the arch of the foot, a little bit back towards where the actual ankle starts itself. It's called the navicular. The navicular has some very important tendons that attach onto it from muscles that sit up in the leg up through here. So the kinds of forces that are being applied onto that part of the foot from even those muscles and tendons above is really quite high. The other thing that happens to the navicular is that when we stand and load, we get almost like a compression effect that happens through that mid part of the foot. So if you can imagine the way that a bridge might function, so particularly when we're looking at the arch that's coming through there, if I have a nice flat surface through here, there's different foot types that can essentially have much higher amounts of that compression that comes through that mid part of the foot there. And the navicular is sort of in a position where it's pretty much being sandwiched between the front part of the foot and the rear part of the foot. So as we then come forward to push off onto our toes, it's under a lot of stress throughout the entire part of that gait cycle, so from heel strike through to toe off. So when we're understanding those stresses that are going through the navicular, often it is about understanding the type of training that might have been happening. Generally with most stress fractures, we want to really understand the training program and the load management that's been occurring. Often it's we're able to identify some of those spikes in load and training that have led to that overload that the bone can't quite handle. So it's really important to make sure that you get that checked out. Any kind of pain that you're getting in the midfoot area with running or after running, in particular at rest, is definitely something that you need to get looked at.